how can we do these things that suit the client? So it's asking them those questions. It's asking them to reflect on their life, and it's asking them to contribute to this discussion for their wellness so that they're active participants in their wellness. You are not the holder of the magic wand, which we know we are not. Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists, coaches, and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to the needs of you, the practicing natural therapist. We have interviews during the holiday season and business and mindset support each week, so you'll get the variety you need to enjoy and stay motivated in your practice. Don't forget to subscribe to receive the weekly episodes. And if you want to connect with me, always check the show notes, because that's where you'll find the links to book appointments and, of course, to join the Academy, the membership group, where there's constant connection and community with like-minded practitioners. Now, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast. How the devil are you? So we've really, over the last couple, been talking about the consult itself and about the discussion, about the conversation and how we interact with our clients. Last time we talked about that empathy bucket and judgment. Well, empathy, as I was saying then, it's big. Empathy's big. It covers a lot of areas. And when we're talking to our clients and we're not judging them, or we're assessing our own judgment and nullifying those concepts, we need to reflect on each and every appointment. Now, when we reflect on an appointment, we need to make sure that we do it, because otherwise it might end up bothering you like at night. You go to bed at night, you think, I should have said this and I should have said that. And what about this? And maybe that one would be really good. It wouldn't be the first time that I had one client, she wrote me a beautiful review, and I wake up very early, and I'd woken up at dawn and I'd suddenly gone, this is a product she needs, because not only can she get it in Australia, I think she can get it overseas as well. So I emailed at that time in the morning, knowing she wasn't up because she worked nights in her interesting job, and she's a fabulous lady. Anyway, in her interesting job here in Adelaide. And I knew that when she went back home to Germany, she'd be able to get that product or a similar product there. And I'd certainly be able to find a similar product. I sent that email off at 6 o'clock in the morning. And now, of course, you don't have to do that. Now you can set a schedule on your emails and they can go during business hours, which I highly recommend you do, because that's going to lead us on to not just reflecting on the appointment and parts of the appointment, our behaviors in the appointment, forgotten questions. All of these things can be asked at the next appointment. We just have to keep ourselves a little list of what we need to know next time, or if we need to know them before, we can send an email. But we don't really want to do that, because we don't want to start these full conversations with people so that they're constantly at us when we're not in our office time. So that's setting our boundaries, because that empathy bucket is going to empty if you haven't set those boundaries so that you're in control of your time. And we do have to have strong boundaries, because, checking my list of notes here that I wrote just a minute ago, with our boundaries, we need to make sure that we're not overstepping our own boundaries and making our own boundaries in a way too tight, so that we feel disassociated from our practice and from what's going on. We need to make sure that our boundaries are natural for us. Okay, so what my boundaries will be different to your boundaries. Okay, and so when you ask people, what boundaries do they set up, you need to look at their boundaries and go, wow, that's really strong. Is that a judgment statement? No, it's not, because you're going, wow, that's really strong. Yes, that's positive for me and I will do the same. Or no, that's too strong for me. I need to bring it back a notch. But it's a really good idea right at the beginning of practice, or as soon as that first client comes in that's demanding and wants more of your time and is messaging you all the time, that you start developing those boundaries and you start creating those replies. You start figuring out, how am I going to fire these clients that I don't like? Or what about the ones that are ghosting me? Why are they ghosting me? So I might go into those in another podcast, actually. So when we're with our client in the consult, which is what we're concentrating on for this series, when we're in there, we need to ask those clarifying questions, and we need to reflect not only on what they've said, not only on the appointment, but we need to reflect on what it was like for them when they first came to see us. All right. So whenever I see a client, I have a little laptop I actually set up at the moment because we're moving house. I normally have screens up. So I have the last appointment and this appointment. So I can look back at the paperwork from the last appointment. I have the 2 pages up and it says, I've got the goals and everything. And the goals are copy and pasted. Okay. So their goals are from the very first appointment. From the intake form, the goals are, I need to lose weight. We're working on the sore leg right now, aren't we? So that's right from that first one. I remember. So pain in my legs, we'll call it now. And because obviously by this time they'll be over the pain from the broken leg and they will just be sore legs now. Shin splints. We'll move it to shin splints. So over my painful legs, and I want to be healthy because you ask them for 3 goals, and the third one is generally nebulous. So we've then turned them into the true goals. So then we're saying going to lose, 20 pounds for, 20 kilos, whatever, by the wedding on the son on blah, blah date or whatever it is. Okay. So we've got a specific weight loss goal, or they're going to go from a size, 20 to a size 18 by this date, dress size. That's Australian dress sizes, which are similar to New Zealand and the UK dress sizes. We create those true solid goals for them, and the be healthy, the number 3 that they've always just the nebulous one. We've figured out what that is and created that. So those goals travel with me across my paperwork, right? Because they're the goals they came in with. So then it's like goal 1, they are no longer a size 22. They're now down to a size 20, or the measurements, however we're deciding to do this, it says started out size 22. I don't even know how many centimeters that would be around the waist, whatever. And now the centimeters around the waist are blah, and we're at a size 20, and so on and so forth. So we can see, so that when they come back on that, say, 4th appointment, and, they turn around and they say, I haven't lost any weight, nothing's changed, I feel rubbish, because everybody plateaus in everything they do, right? We all plateau in all of the things all of the time. So when we get to that point, because we've got this up there from last appointment, and the other ones are really easy to access, because my goal is what did I say it was? Lose 20 pounds. I don't even know how much a pound is. A pound of butter, 500 grams. So they're going to lose, so that's pounds, so that's 40 kilos. They're going to lose 40 kilos in X length of time. And they're going to go from a size, 22, what did I say, to a size 16 or something I said. So they're going to lose that weight. So we've got that under the goal, that we started out at a size 22. We started out at X number of centimeters. And then the last appointment, it will say last appointment size 18, X number of centimeters. They weigh in this time, we do the measurements, all the rest of it, and they're still the same. Right. So they have plateaued this time, but you have to remind them of all the good that's occurred prior. And that is a really important part of your coaching and of what you're doing with your client. Is this is what you had. Yes, you may have plateaued in this minute, but our other health parameters have improved. What are our other health parameters we're doing with that client? Maybe they've got high blood pressure and their blood pressure has begun to reduce. Maybe they've got eczema and eczema's reduced. So we look at the other parameters as well, because we've got them all up there. So I can say, well, you said last time that you hadn't had any eczema since your previous appointment. So that's an improvement, and you still have no eczema. That's really amazing. And all of these things, so that we're talking to them and we're coaching them through these changes and this plateau time. So rather than them just giving up and walking away and going, oh, it doesn't work anymore, it's rubbish, they're going, oh yeah, I have actually got all of these achievements, even though my dress size is currently the same. So maybe now that I'm feeling fitter, maybe you can take on some hill walking rather than just walking on the flat or whatever it is, so that we can change things up a bit with them because they can see the change. We can reflect back with the client about the changes that have occurred with them, which makes our own reflection at the end of the appointment better as well, or easier, because we've reflected with the client. So we can look back and go, yeah, that first appointment was actually quite difficult because I don't normally work in weight loss, but this person was determined to see me because their friend had recommended me. And this isn't really an area I work in. And yet I've made all these, I've supported this person to make all these changes and all these healthcare improvements, which is ultimately going to improve things like their mitochondria, which they're not even thinking about and aren't going to think about. We've made these long-term improvements simply by starting at this point. Is there anything I've forgotten that I should do? Is there anything that I could add that they'd be happy to have as an email now that I know them so well? All right, so we're reflecting back with the client and we're reflecting back on our own practices. And I've said about clarifying questions. I think we need to be careful with our questions that we're not asking yes/no questions. Have you lost weight? Yes. Okay, great. That's the end of that conversation. You could say, how much weight have you lost? And that's 10 pounds. We've still got it's like a yes/no answer. So how are you feeling about your weight loss journey? We're going to get that information from them. There's going to be our empathy usage as well. Follow-up appointments, you're using less and less empathy because you're knowing them better. You've got all that underlying conversation with them, that knowledge about them. So, because when we give that verbal feedback, when we respond to them, they are feeding off that to motivate them to do more, aren't they? That's the whole point of coaching our clients. And when we summarize with them and we do this is what it was like, and we reflect and we summarize what's happening, that's going to help and support them in that journey because they're going to see the progress. Reflection is really important, not just for us, but for our client. And it's something we need to do at each appointment. So last time I saw you, you had eczema all over your body. Now you only have it on your hands. Let's nut this out. What are you touching now? What is it that goes on your hands that personally, it's public toilets, pink soap. I immediately get eczema on my hands. COVID, of course, was a nightmare because everywhere was pink soap and my eczema on my hands, having not had it for years. And that's the sort of thing you hear from your client. Oh yeah, of course. I've been out a lot more because we're doing, I've been traveling. And so I've been using public toilets more. So I've been washing with pink soap. Oh, that'll be what it is. Great. Can you carry a little soap sachet or sanitizer in your handbag so you don't have to use the pink soap dispenser in the public toilets? Things like that. These are the things that when we ask those questions, they actually have the clarity. They have the answer, and that answer motivates the whole conversation forward and improves our relationship and improves their health outcomes because of that discussion. We provide that feedback for them to feed off. We're questioning them in return. That very first appointment, we're only clarifying questions as our relationship builds with our clients, then we're getting the questioning is to motivate them to provide their own answers. This is something I do in hypnosis, is under hypnosis, if someone's got a sore leg and going with the sore leg still, then we say, can you think of 3 things that alleviate that pain? Let's go through those 3 things and how you can use those to support yourself to alleviate that pain. Can you think of 3 things? And they're like, have you got 1 thing? Have you got 2 things? Have you got a third? It's okay if you haven't got a third. We've got 2 ideas to help alleviate that pain of things that you can do when there's discomfort. And it's the same sort of thing, asking them for the answers. Because if we get them to give the answer, then they're able to do it. If we provide the answer, if we say, okay, I need you to stretch your feet, do this, do that 20 times a day, and I need you to jump up and down and put your feet up the wall and do that 5 times a day, they're going to go, I haven't got time for all of that. I can't put my feet up the wall. Well, in my case, I've got boxes all around all of my skirting board, so I can't put my feet up the wall. So when we're just boom, 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 here are your answers, our clients are less likely to be able to do the things you're asking. So as a nurse, that's something I used to do. Take this tablet, do this, do that. Off you go. Bye. Next, please. Whereas in the coaching realm, which is what we're in now as natural therapists, we have to be like, what can you do? How can you achieve that? So if you said to me, you got to put your feet up the walls, I'd be like, oh, I can't. I've got tea chests and boxes all around my walls. Whereas if I was to say to you, how can we get your feet elevated after work every day? What about on the bed? Feet up on the bed head. So you're not lying on a hard floor. It's not cold on the ground. It's comfortable. It's the end of the day. You just turn around the wrong way on the bed and your feet are up on the headboard if you've got one. Or you haven't got a headboard? Can we put pillows under your feet? Can we get your legs up the wall? Is there somewhere else? Maybe it is on the floor in front of the sofa so that your feet are on the sofa and your body's on the floor, but the TV's on next to you and you can watch TV and you still get your feet up. How can we do these things that suit the client? So it's asking them those questions. It's asking them to reflect on their life, and it's asking them to contribute to this discussion for their wellness so that they're active participants in their wellness. You are not the holder of the magic wand, which we know we are not. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a good one. If you've got questions for me, you want to catch up, my link to the focus call is in the show notes. You can email me, Geraldine at mentoringwithgeraldine.biz. Love to hear from you. If you've got ideas for my podcast, make sure you message me. Email me. That would be the thing. And I hope you have an absolutely brilliant rest of day. And you've made it to the end. So if you haven't given me a review, please do. 5 stars, no less. Thanks. I hope you have a good one. Look after yourself and we'll catch up soon. Bye. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. If you'd like even more support and learning, then the Academy is for you. Here you'll find part 2 of the herbal discussions, more clinical learning, and case studies to support your clients in practice. Bye for now.